Hi, today is February 4th, 2025. And I'm deciding to do, I literally just decided on this 5 minutes ago, but I am going to try for each month of 2025 to record a video in which I just talk about the media that I've consumed this month. Because unfortunately I do consume a decent amount of media. But yeah, just to talk about that in this lovely space that is video. I have Letterboxd, I've tried Goodreads. I do enjoy Letterboxd, but nothing is the same really as talking about the things that you watched or enjoyed over the course of a month in the same way that video allows me to convey. So that's why I'm here today, and let's just kick it off with movies. So normally I do watch more movies, or I thought I watched more movies, but this month I only watched 2, which is okay because one of them was really good. First watch of 2025 was Kunk on Life. It's really a very dumb but funny mockumentary style of well, it started off as a show and then they made a movie called Kunk on Life, I guess, and I was just bored one day and was like, okay, let me watch Kunk on Life. Love Philomena Kunk. She's just a funny character. Has a very like British, well, it's a British production, so obviously British, but it's just like a very British humor about it that's like dry, crude, but I think like there are funny moments in this. Obviously, like something that's a comedy usually can't sustain being a comedy for an entire movie, or I find it's kind of rare that it's able to sustain that kind of rhythm or same level of comedy throughout the entire film. But there are really funny moments in it, which is why I'm mentioning it. And then the second thing that I watched was I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I probably attempted to watch about a year ago with my roommate, but we fell asleep watching it, and it was just not a good viewing experience. But I watched it on Netflix, and yeah, it was just like a lot better than I remembered. I watched a few months ago Men by Jessie Buckley, or with Jessie Buckley in it, where she's the protagonist, and it has a very creepy aura similar to Men, like a very similar kind of creepy, like a little bit magical realism or fantastical kind of horror to it. Definitely not as much horror. And the ending is very theatrical as well. The ending I was very confused about, and then I had to read the Wikipedia for the book, which made me understand the ending a lot better. But it's very metaphysical, I think, and time conscious, which is one of my like favorite genres of film, ones that are like very philosophical in terms of time and progression of life. So I really enjoyed that. It's shot very nicely. I think there's some slow moments in it, but overall a really solid film and a lot better than I could have hoped, I guess, in my rewatch of it. I think I would definitely rewatch it again because there's still like a lot of stuff I missed. I wrote something down in my journal about it because it was that good. But let me see. Oh, okay. So I wrote this down in my journal. People like to think of themselves as points moving through time, but I think it's probably the opposite. We're stationary and time passes through us, blowing like cold wind, stealing our heat, leaving us chapped and frozen. Isn't that so good? It's so dark. The protagonist is also very like I don't want to say nihilist, but maybe she is. Very dark. Yeah, she kind of is a nihilist, actually, a little bit. But yeah, really great. Would highly recommend someone checking it out. It's like a winter film, and since we are in winter, I enjoy watching things that are season relevant. So yeah, that's it for movies. TV. I'm gonna have to check on this because I did not watch a ton of TV this month or in January. I watched Fargo. Did I watch Beef this month? I'm less thorough with logging my TV endeavors, so I'm gonna say I only watched Fargo this month. Season 2, I believe. Really cool concept. Very violent. Some, again, like extraterrestrial elements, and also very season accurate. It's like set in winter. I think my biggest takeaway was I really enjoyed the portrayal of like 80s Americana. Similar in the way that like Stranger Things does it, but theirs is feels a little bit less commercialized than Stranger Things and a little bit less of a caricature and more of a real portrayal that's like grounded in history and research, just in terms of set and like the world building and whatever. So I thought that was cool. Pretty good performances, but yeah, maybe a bit too violent for my liking. That's all I watched in TV that month. Music. This one might take me a hot second because I did listen to a lot of music. So I went to Paris and London. I think I'm like in the weird stage of my life where I don't listen to as much music as I did maybe a year ago in comparison. I think when I was in university, I just listened to a lot of music. I would walk around campus and listen to music. Sometimes I'd have to drive places and I'd listen to music. But I found over the past few months that I've been listening less to music, which isn't a bad thing, but it just isn't playing every single second of my life. And so it makes this music portion a little bit harder. But honestly, for the first time in a while, I went to a classical orchestra concert, which was really cool. And it was even cooler that I got to go in Paris. It was for the Carnival of the Animals. And it was 10 euros, which is super cool. I think that's a pretty good price to see like a 2-hour long classical musical concert. Definitely cheaper than concerts here, maybe. But it makes me realize I should look into like concerts, classical music concerts at home as well. But Carnival of the Animals, good. What the hell? Really cool, upbeat. There are some very memorable tracks like Aquarium, The Swan, that a lot of people probably know as like classical canon songs. But it was really cool to hear it in person with a live orchestra. They sounded like, pretty good. And it was fun to go to. And there were some other pieces that they played as well. But I think I enjoyed the Carnival of the Animals the most because I know that suite or composition. Other songs I really enjoyed. Push to Start by Tyla. When it came out, I didn't listen to it that much, but for some reason it clicked this month, so that's cool. Oh, a song I got from Fargo, actually, is called What You See Is What You Get by The Dramatics. Really cool piece. Very soul funk, which I guess has been kind of a trend. Another song, Hang On To Your Love by Sade. I've really been enjoying her music. And then I have her like best of CD, and sometimes I'll play it in the car. And like Hang On To Your Love is like towards the beginning of that CD. So I guess it just started playing in the car and it like clicked, like it's a good song. I don't know, remember exactly where I found this song, but Ooh Baby Baby by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Also a good like soul kind of song. Been listening to Marvin Gaye a bit more. I finally understood Luther by Kendrick Lamar and SZA. I don't know why, it just like didn't click for me. And then when I was in Paris, it just like hit. And I also heard it a lot while I was there. So that was all good. Yeah, I didn't listen to that much K-pop, which is surprising because like I don't know, that's like usually in my Spotify Wrapped, my top artists are K-pop and like whatever. But nothing really like clicked for me with K-pop this month. So kind of slow there. Other songs, a lot of them are Ria's songs. I'll just mention some titles real fast. Real Life, I No Puedo, All I Really Want Is You, and Care For You. Amazing songs. Was listening to them in Paris because it was super gloomy there. And the Maria's music is like really gloomy but chill and like groovy. So it feels like it fit the city very well. Sunny Day by Biba Doobie. Basic. But I don't know why I just never listened to it before this month. And then I listened to it a bunch while I was away. I also enjoyed Victoria Monet. And then I kind of at the beginning of the year had like a house. And probably Getting Hot by Knock 2. That's a good like house techno song. I guess it's worth mentioning in this section the concerts that I also went to. So like I said, I went to that classical concert. When I was in the UK, I went to a rave, a techno rave. So it was Silva Bumba, Benoit, and Drea. I don't know if that was the right pronunciation. I didn't really know them. The DJ is super familiar. Like, I didn't know their music that well. But it was a really fun experience. Definitely a better experience than raves in the US, at least the ones that I've been to. It was cool, like going to concerts in other countries and like raves and small music venues is like sick. It's like another way to experience like a different country's like music scene. And when it comes to playing vacations, I definitely gravitate to that as opposed to shopping. And then the last thing I went to, which I'll just count in this video because it was like really recently. I'm still transitioning into February. But I went to a K-pop rave for the first time, which was interesting because I've seen people like post, my friends go to them before and post about it. And this K-pop rave was $35, which is like overpriced in my opinion, but I went just because like all my friends, or a lot of my friends were going and I hadn't seen them in a while. And I think it was worth it only because my friends went. But besides that, the DJ, they were like okay, but I was expecting more like, you know, mixing from them. The transitions between songs were kind of like not there. They would just play like portions of the song. I would say like about 3/4 of the song. And then sometimes like the transitions between genres were not good, but I think it was still a fun experience, but that was only because of my friends. And then the last category is books. I have 2 of the books here, and then one of them is a virtual book, so I can't talk about it. This, I'm gonna just mention it briefly. I started it probably in December, and I'm not that far in it, maybe like 2/3 of the way, but I'm working through it and I'm trying to finish it. And then I bought this in the UK at an Oxfam. Cool, shout out Secondhand Books. And I've been meaning to read The Metamorphosis for so long. I had it as a digital book on my iPad, but I don't like reading on my iPad to start off, and I don't necessarily prefer digital books. So I found this at a secondhand bookstore and I read it in like 3 days. Literally like last week. And I enjoyed it a lot. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. I think I see a lot of Kafka stuff online, and most of it is his letters. So I really would like to read his letters as well, and I think those I might like kind of gravitate towards more. But I think this is still 100% worthy of reading, and I'm going to discuss it with my friend because we decided to read it together. So that's cool. And then the last thing I read was Betrayals by Harold Pinter, I think. And it was a very short read. I liked how it was in reverse chronological order. I think that was really cool. I read non-linear storylines, but it's been a minute since I've read something in reverse chronological order, so that was cool. I want to read more plays this year. I want to read more plays and prose and short stories. Yeah, I think it's just a really good way to get through texts and like not get bogged down in a long book. I guess the one thing about plays is that's fun about them is you kind of have to imagine your own cast of characters and your own staging, because at least Betrayal, there wasn't a ton of stage direction at all, and I don't know if that's usually the way it is with plays, because again, I have not read a lot of plays at all. But yeah, very few minimal stage directions, very minimal descriptions about the characters, so obviously there's a lot of creative room to change things around for creative interpretations of things. So I think as someone who normally reads fiction, it was a little bit hard to imagine certain aspects of it, but good writing overall. And I usually hate or dislike the characters in stories that focus primarily on cheating / those kind of affair relationships, but I did for some reason enjoy reading it. Maybe it was because it was so short. I don't know. But that is all the media that I consumed in January. And I will see you back in February for whatever media I consume by then, which should be exciting. And I think I'm going to see a movie tonight, so yeah. Okay, bye.